Hey, video diary. So, I realize I've been pretty depressed, just physically, with just signs of depression. So, I will be dealing with that. Non-pharmacologically, I might add. In talking with my wife about why this hurts so much, the way that it does, why Forrest's OD death from heroin after something like 4.5 years clean, why does it hurt like it does? Um, part of it is all the investment that not only I made and others made, but that Forrest made. You know, all the energy and hard work that he put into his life. To have all that stuff reversed, or it's not reversed, but it's extinguished by a heroin overdose, by his addiction to heroin. And it must have been going on from knowledge. All I know is that he was looking for it a few months before he found it. And when some friends called him out on that, he talked his way out of it as nothing they needed to worry about. I found out about that when I was making funeral arrangements. I have to let that go because he's dead, and they believed him. So there's nothing I can do about that. It's not other people's responsibility to know what's going on with you as an adult. It's your responsibility to tell people. Which isn't to say that if somebody knows something is wrong, that you don't do or say anything. Of course not. But I told all his suffering friends that they should not blame themselves, that they couldn't know, because if he could hide it from all of us and all of them, at least this much of it, for this long, then there was nothing they could do. Man, and I know that a person gets to this point where they're using over time, and he was in Georgia and I was in New York City, and I'm just not there. And I trusted what he was saying to me. Anyway, the point was to have him have worked so hard at school, at being an athlete, at his artwork, and all the time and money and love and worry, all that investment extinguished. My mom seems to believe that it's because the addiction is so strong and just pernicious that he wasn't himself. And I haven't been able to get there yet, if at all. Maybe he was himself. It was it was one thing. It's ironic, the sirens. It was one thing that was his own. Heroin wasn't anything we related to. It wasn't anything that was supposed to be going on. It was so private. It was a secret. And it's a secret that killed him because of his foolishness. It's foolish to shoot up in your bedroom at night. And I'm sure he was shooting up. He was shooting up. I know that for a couple of months. And how many times do junkies shoot up during the course of a week, or I don't know. I think it's a lot. It's more than, when he did tell me, it was more than I thought. So you're doing it a lot. But I guess you don't think like, man, this is going to destroy my family. Ruin, you know. He's ruined. I've been saying he's ruined my life. And what I've been meaning by that is that my happiness, my joy, my well-being was, yeah, I guess it was highly identified by the success, if I feel stupid using that word now, but just how awesome all our lives really are. And now I'm like, was all of that a lie? And I know there's people who's going to say, no, it's not a lie. You know, he was what he was, and look past the drugs and all that bullshit. And it's bullshit, because I've done drugs. I've used drugs dependently. I know what it's like to be addicted. It's terrible. But I knew it was terrible then. Do heroin addicts not know it's like really bad? That's why I feel so bad, is because Forrest, it wasn't like we were waiting for the phone call, or he was this shining thing, the shining person, radiant, beautiful person. And I don't think I imagined that about him. When you hear his friends talk about him, and I know what he was. That's why this is so terrible. And I wish he had told me in the months leading up to it that he was thinking about using again. But if I was thinking about using something again, I wouldn't tell anybody. I would do it, I would hide it, I would create an environment where I could get away with it, all that stuff. You know, it's just the typical behavior. It's what you do for anything. I guess he just didn't know that he could lose. I don't know. I'm going to say he didn't know that he could lose it all, but if he did. He did know. And talked himself out of that, or I don't even know. I will never know. It's not suicide, but it's throwing it all away. And he threw a lot away. You know, and now I'm doing the stuff of, did I push him too hard? Did I try to make him too much like myself? Did I try to, not let him move in his own directions, all that? And I don't think I pushed him too hard. I wanted him to finish school at this portion of it. I was just like, man, just suck it up. It'll be over. You'll feel amazing. And I even told him, if you don't want to go, that he didn't, we wanted to take a year off. And I said, do it. You can do whatever you want. Why don't you think about it? And he came back to me and said, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go full time. I'm going to finish. I mean, he knew I preferred that, but I also said, I cannot just impose my will on you. I want to work with you. So I just give that as an example. And he said he appreciated that. He thanked me for being open. But maybe, hindsight, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know if there's a hindsight or if there were signals. Maybe a person just gets bored and they want to get high again. They're like, just screw it. I'm just going to go take a roller coaster. I don't know. I would never do it because I've never met a junkie I liked. Not a single one who I was like, wow, that's a cool person. And I've known several. They were just the shittiest people. And I think of that too. It's just like even with the famous jazz musicians who I have a lot of deep regard for their music. I read some of the behaviors. It's the same thing. Just shitty people. At doing that. It turns you into a shitty person. My experience. Maybe you know a junkie who's really nice and great and level headed and responsible and dependable. And although, my son wasn't a full on junkie, he was, you know, moments away from what I can tell. If he was doing this, using with this level of abandon, I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't have. I don't know. We will never know. All we know is that he wanted to use several months before. A couple months later, he found it. 2 months after that, he shoots up in his bedroom the week he starts school. Maybe there's a lot of, stressors. He threw so much away. And he destroyed so much. So it's very difficult for me to share my pride and my love of my son with anyone. It will be very difficult. And there's reasons to be proud of him. But this isn't one of them.